let us understand it from a managerial point of view. That selling is from the seller's point of view, marketing is from the buyer's point of view. Selling is converting your product into cash, marketing is converting that cash into a brand. I don't think there could be a simpler definition than this. Have convictions, and most importantly, stand for your convictions. Don't say to the woman in your life that, okay, I could bring the sun and the moon and the stars and the Pluto and the Venus for you, but today I cannot meet you because it's going to rain. I mean, if you say, you got to mean it. If you got to mean it, you got to do it. And only if you do it, shall you prosper in life. So make sure that anything, any money that comes out of our mindsets, they put into actions, because that is very, very essential. If you say to a friend that, okay, I'll give you a call at 6 in the evening, make sure that you give a call at 6 in the evening, because that actually says about your attitude eventually. That says as to what kind of commitments do you have towards excellence in life. It could be the smallest of the person to probably the biggest of the CEOs. In life, if you say, you got to mean it. That's it. You got to walk the talk eventually, because that is where your actual genuineness will eventually lie, right? The gentleman over there is like having his feet in the air. Yeah, sir. Good. Just stay away. I don't mind.
What is moksha and how do you relate with the men?
Okay. We'll come just in the next 3-4 slides.
We are according to the subject.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but according to the subject, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I respect your question, and I'll definitely answer to you. Probably the 6th slide from now will you find the answer to your question already, right? Then you need to cultivate a sound philosophy of life, which is very essential. Identify the inner core of self-sufficiency. Strive for excellence, as work is nothing but worship. You've got to think about it actually, right? So build an internal integrated reference point to face many contrary impulses and emotions. Now these are something which is called upon as managerial effectiveness. The difference between effectiveness and efficiency is a simple thing that you do the right things and then doing the things right. Right, next slide please. Okay, so what did we learn? Now, one more thing that I have realized over a period of time, going towards the word of moksha itself, that every moment that we live, sir, every person that we come across in our life, whether it could be even the smallest of animals, it has a certain purpose from which we have to gain learning. The more the learning that we get, the closer we go towards self-realization. The closer we go towards self-realization, the closer we go towards moksha itself. Now let us understand that everything and every moment of life has a purpose behind it. And the more the learning that you get, the more the insight that you build inside your intuitions, will you actually be able to have those kind of intuitions and see your life ahead. That is called as moksha, if you ask me.
Why do we need to know?
There is no need for you to have moksha. There is a need for me to have moksha because I want to do it. There are certain things in life which you and I are different upon. Right? I am here to tell you as to what management and managerial effectiveness through Bhagavad Gita is all about. Moksha is something which you get when you have reached self-realization. When you have reached a point where you feel that I am such a good learner that everything that I take into being is just about learning. Self-realization is probably called upon as the ultimate of your learning. The more 60 degrees. A mind which is open towards all sorts of learning, to accept things the way they are and not as what they ought to be, is when you will reach self-realization. Because that is so very essential. Likewise, I said, there are so many changes that are going to happen in your life. That is what even said, that is what even management or probably the Bhagavad Gita says, that God grant me serenity to accept the things which I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know thy difference. When you have a 360-degree mindset, when you are open towards learning, when you are open towards feedback, when you are open towards criticism, when you are open towards appreciation, that is when you get self-realization. Am I able to answer you? Thank you. So that is the purpose of life is always learning. Because likewise I say, even a clock which is not working will show you the time twice right in a day. So you are getting some learning out of it, that everything, every moment has a purpose behind it. Yes, Arun?
Lord Krishna had mentioned in best of best. Okay. Now is Samved in all the Vedas, 4 Vedas. Now, do you consider all the 4 Vedas equally important?
Yeah, see, if you ask...
Then why did he say that he is Samved in all the 4?
Right. You see, something that in life that we need to attain, and one thing that we need to go through. Why does Shri Krishna actually say this?
Specifically speaking about the Vedas.
Yeah, even if you speak specifically from the Vedas itself, you know, some Vedas speak about your childhood, some Vedas speak about your upbringing, some Vedas speak about, you know, your managerial perspectiveness, you know. That is why we were also casted into different kinds of people. There were Shudras, there was Vaishyas, there were like Kshatriyas, there were like Brahmins. Now every Veda is attached to every caste of people that you are born upon with and you shall intend to be with. Now the Bhagavad Gita is called upon as the best of Vedas because it brings you the best of all the four worlds. It speaks about everything from every perspective. That is the primary reason why he says that he is undoubtedly the best.
Sir, do you want to say Bhagavad Gita is from Samveda?
It is not from the Samveda. It is a culmination of all these Vedas together, which he prescribed and which he described in 700 beautiful verses. And that's when he speaks about the science of self-realization. All these Vedas eventually...
Compared to Samveda, like how Samveda is above all the three Vedas?
Honestly speaking, I don't have the answer. I wish I was. But let me just think over it. Probably in the next 5-10 minutes, if something just goes inside my mindset, the answer will come. Probably I'll definitely get back to you in the class itself, right? Okay, so next slide. Okay, one more thing that we need to understand is what is the difference between a dharma yuddha and a corporate war. If you ask me, it just means the same. You see, both are doing the same things, but only at different times. The same way, likewise, we say the difference between an entrepreneur and a corporate itself. Likewise, I said an entrepreneur is a person who habitually creates and innovates to build something of recognized values around perceived opportunities. Right? An entrepreneur is a person who works on guts and instincts. A corporate is a person who works on projections and analysis. Both are doing the same things, but only at different times. That is what even the difference between a dharma yuddha and a corporate war is. Now let us understand what is a dharma yuddha, a contest between nations and states carried out with force for the acquisition of territory, for obtaining and establishing the superiority and dominion of one over the other. If I just take the words a little bit from here and there, instead of taking nation and states, we take the word companies over here. So a contest between companies for the acquisition of customers, for obtaining the superiority and the dominion of one over the other. Both are doing the same things, but only at different times. Think about it. Yeah, next slide please. Okay, so how does management have to differentiate between religion and spirituality? Now, a couple of years back, I went into this course called upon as the Art of Living, which actually told me as to what religion is all about, what spirituality is all about. If you speak from a managerial perspective, the difference between religion and as religion, the fruit of which is called as spirituality, and we always slip on this. Religion is your dharma, spirituality is your karma. The difference between the two is that of a banana, where a skin of which is called as religion, the fruit of which is called as spirituality, and we always intend to slip on the skin, which is as it is a biological aspect. Okay, so that actually differentiates between religion and spirituality from a managerial perspective. The potential and think beyond the obvious. Do not have a claustrophobic mind. Do not have a 90-degree thinking. Do not have a 180-degree thinking. Have a 360-degree vision in life. That is when managerial perspectives and effectiveness will actually take place. And that is where he says that, other gentleman by the name R.N. Duke even says that when we are in the tune of the consciousness of the cosmos, we actually become members of a new species. Now that is something which will happen when you have K, S and A. This is something that even my B school taught me. K is called as knowledge. You read the Bhagavad Gita, you read 500 books on management, you get knowledge. You read the Economic Times, you read the Times of India, you read Business India, Business Today, Business World, you read management books, you get knowledge. But knowledge is nothing but power in disguise. Agreed that knowledge plays a very big aspect in your personal and your professional growth. But when knowledge is put into practice, it becomes skill. Right? Skill is not talent. Talent is something that you are born with. Knowledge put into practice is called as skill. You know, playing a piano is like a talented person. Not all of us can do that. But speaking on the stage, many of us can do that because that is called as a communicational skill. So when knowledge is put into practice, it becomes a good skill. Because even this has been an observation of mine that people who are phenomenal speakers are actually phenomenal readers. Now there is going to be a direct correlation between the two. But the most sincere will define what kind of person you are, what kind of genuineness you have in yourself, and what kind of person you will eventually be in life. Always remember that every moment that you live, there is someone somewhere up there who is looking into every moment that you have. So always remember the fact you have a tremendous faith in God, and most importantly, a tremendous faith in yourself, because that will determine your eventual attitude. Right. First, do you think it's luck? I will not deny the fact that luck does play a small role. We will not run away from the facts because we are also practical people. Luck definitely plays a small role. But if you ask me, luck is nothing but when preparations meets opportunities. You've got to prepare yourself so very well in your life. You've got to make yourself so very good. You've got to make sure that you will eventually try to be the best. That preparations come on its own and opportunities are everywhere. So when you add preparations plus opportunities, you actually have luck, and luck is nothing but bhagya. So whatever you do, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Because boldness has genius and power has magic in it. So agree that luck will play a small role in determining your career, but luck is nothing but when preparations meets opportunities. You've got to make yourself so very well prepared in life that whensoever an opportunity knocks, and it knocks only once, that you have made and strive to be the best, and that is when you will reach Atma Jnanaha, and that is when you will have in search of excellence. Okay. Some of the now these are the people whom I have interacted and learned so many things from. Some of the most managerial books that I have read in my life is a book called What Indian Managing Radical Changes, What Indian Companies Must Do to Become World Class. It speaks about how Indians can make world class organizations, and to make world class organizations, likewise I said, you need world class teams. To have a world class team, you primarily need to have a world class mind, a mind that can think beyond its time, a mind that can see what is going to happen 5 years down the line. It is so very essential for us to become visionaries. You know, when I was a student like yourself, when someone from organization where you speak about mission and vision, even I would feel, it's okay. What sense does it make? Because I have to live for the moment. When you actually stand over here, you realize that you need to have a mission and a vision in life. You see, it's so very easy to sit over there and make a comment to the person who is standing over there. But when you will actually come here, you will realize the fact that your bones might actually start to rattle. So you need to understand that no person is a self-made man. Everyone is interdependent on each other, and it's only by the wishes and blessings of others will you actually grow in life. Because if you say it, you got to mean it. If you got to mean it, you got to do it. And if you got to do it, then only can you prosper. Something that even one of, I was just listening to Bapu Asamramji once, and even he said कि એવું સમાજ શું કામનું જે તમે છો તો ઈ છે અને તમે નથી તો ઈ નથી. એવું જીવો કે પોતાનું જેવું સમાજ ઊભું કરો કે જો તમે છો તો પણ ઈ છે અને તમે નથી તો પણ ઈ છે. So make that. So essential to have those kind of people around us that will stand for you irrespective of the fact as to what position you have reached in your life. You might be the kingpin, you might be a small person, but they are there for you, and at the same time you are there for them. That is very, very essential. Yes, sir.
Like just about medical or any science, anything. Take any topic. But don't you think that reading that book would influence your thinking? Even you can think Bhagavad Gita. You don't need to read it.
See, eventually, your own. Like no one can tell you to make a decision in life. No one can tell you to take a risk. Be very simple now that the higher the risk, the higher is the rewards. And most importantly, higher are the returns. So there is a direct and probably you could say a straight line relationship between the two.
But then why great people? Even when you believe that you should think, why at times you suggest that you should read these books?
Okay. The reason behind it is because you need to have a 360-degree perspective as to what even others think. Your thinking can have a limitation eventually. How much can you think at one point of time? You might think that I can go to the moon, but someone else might bring you back to the earth and say that this is not possible. It's a fact. So we need to have a 360-degree perspective as to what even others think.
Whenever one thinks of going to moon, he first thinks of coming back also.
I'm not denying it, but sometimes if he decides to stay there, then so to bring him back, there is someone else who has to pull him. That's why I said there is no such thing as a self-made man. No man is an island. If you walk into Crosswords, there are like 550 or probably 600 books on management. All of them sell. Why? If he say that, okay, I'll just buy the Bhagavad Gita and that teaches me everything, undoubtedly. The Bhagavad Gita teaches you everything what is written over there. But it has been written from a different perspective. The underlying fact might remain the same. Sit and ask. It's okay.
Not straightforward, but not specifically. But Bhagavad Gita, then you get the answer.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me what I mean.
Yeah, so it's good for you, man. You go do it. That's your thinking, and I respect you for it. That's it. But at least there is something that you could make sure that the person sitting on your left and the gentleman sitting on your right could also. Usually your problems will be there and there. But eventually the problem has been arised due to other influences also. Like you flunked in an exam, you blame yourself, but then you blame the faculty also. So it is someone else's influence on you, right, eventually. So what is it that you can do so that you do not flunk the next time and make sure that the person sitting on your left and right also do it? I'm not saying anything, nothing. That's what I'm trying to say. That everything will revolve around yourself, but will rotate around others. You see, even if you take the earth, it is rotating on its axis, but eventually it is revolving around the sun and around the 9 planets. That is what the Bhagavad Gita says. That I believe that you are doing things on your own, but eventually you are doing it around others, for others, with others, when others are there. Because if they wouldn't have been there, you wouldn't have been there anyway. So, Nekika or Kuya Meta, that's it.
You mean to say that if Arjuna wouldn't have been there, then Lord Krishna, we wouldn't have been known Bhagavad Gita.
Of course, it's a fact. I mean, if he would not have been there, we would not have known this. Right? So that's what I'm saying, that the essence of teamwork comes when you have other people who stand for you because you are Rajan, irrespective of the fact whether you are a topper or a small guy or a big guy. Tomorrow, even if you become a small person, they will stand with you. Tomorrow, I pray to God that you become a very big person and a very successful human being. Then also they stand with you. Make those kind of people around you. That is called as an essential team. Right? Next slide, please. Okay, now if we shift slightly from Lord Shri Krishna to a gentleman called upon as Chanakya. Now if you ask me, probably the best or probably the most classical of a thinker would be someone who thinks like Chanakya, speaks like Lord Krishna and behaves like the Dalai Lama. Right? If we shift slightly from Bhagavad Gita towards Artha Shastra, which is again one of the other Shastras that has been propagated by Hindu mythology, is where the birth of Kausalya's Artha Shastra came into being. Now there are also other thinkers like Chanakya himself, who was himself inspired and aspired by Lord Shri Krishna, and even these were the people who believed that Bhagavad Gita made sense. For people like Confucius, belonging to China, Vinci, Aristotle, Chanakya, Vishnu Sharma and Machiavelli. Now these are the people who are also considered to be classical thinkers of their time. Agreed that we are here to understand as to what is management from the perspective of the Bhagavad Gita, but then likewise I said, no man is an island, no book is complete in itself. Though the Bhagavad Gita is and makes us strive towards excellence, we shift slightly towards Artha Shastra also. It speaks a lot many other things. What is it that it speaks about? Next slide please. If you might have seen the film called Mohabbatein, in that even Amitabh Bachchan speaks about three things: Parampara, Pratishtha and Anushasan. Now these were the three things which were not Mohabbatein said. These are Han and Samrajya. Right? The Panchatatra, which is also a very good epic, it is again a good Hindu mythology, was like 69 stories which were told to three princesses of how people are to be managed. But Chanakya speaks about not only managing people, but he speaks about managing kingdoms. Right? You know, if you look into the Indian Contract Act, the Indian Contract Act is nothing but Kausalya's Artha Shastra. You know, when we see that what is a contract is an agreement which is enforceable by the law. An agreement as per the Section 2E Indian Contract Act 1874 says that an agreement is a promise or a set of promises having a consideration for each other. Section 2D of the Indian Contract Act 1874 would say that when the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person are done or abstain from doing, does or abstain from doing, or permitted to do or abstain from doing something, then such an act of abstinence is called a consideration to the promise. All these things are from Kausalya's Artha Shastra which we are practicing today. So the Bhagavad Gita definitely makes a lot of sense. But that is about managing people, that is about managing a war. But if you want to manage a kingdom, if you want to manage an organization, if you want to manage your own self, that is where this gentleman comes into being. That it's not only Parampara, Pratishtha and Anushasan, it is also about Sanskar, Samadhan and Samrajya. Think about it. So we spoke about the Panchatatra and the Artha Shastra as to what can make a difference in your life. Right. Right. Yes, sir. Yes. Sit.
Yes. We told that everything is like, if we remember that everything is fair in love and war. But in that part, Chanakya also told that everything is fair in war. Like intoxicating drinks and drugs, everything is fair. But the main thing is that your enemy should be empowered by you. So how, and in another way we are thinking that we should have some social responsibility, we should not do bad things like. So how you compare these terms, like compare Bhagavad Gita, organizational point of view, and the third thing is Chanakya.
Many people have asked me that, you will be working for an organization called X, you would be doing things which are Y, which would be unethical by means, which would be like unethical in war, which would be like unethical per se. Would you do it? My answer to them was yes. Simple. In life there are two things. One is a personal ethics, second is called as a professional ethics. Right? If you know that in our country of a few things have to be done by doing an underhand deal, you cannot avoid it. Make sure that the organization does not suffer. Right? Today you are working for an organization, tomorrow you might leave. You think the organization is going to shut down? No, the show must go on. That's it. If you have to break the rules, don't break them. But if you have to bend the rules, you just cannot avoid it. Right? Even if we speak about the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata itself, we also know what Dushasan did. Today when films like Julian murder are coming, we are making a mockery out of it. That look at what this did. But even the Mahabharata had seen these kind of events. Aren't we living with it? So if the show must go on, then you have to do it. That's it. Lord Shri Krishna himself was one of the most practical thinkers of all time. When he makes you fight against your own brothers, what is intoxication here? Think about it. when he makes Arjuna fight against Bhishma Pitama. Now Bhishma Pitama had something which is called as Sukshama Jnana. He could call death when he would want. He was granted a wish by Lord Shiva and by Yamaraj that you would die only when you would feel like it. Then too he fought the war. Then too on a bed of arrows he had to sleep eventually. So that is what I am trying to say, that when Lord Shri Krishna is telling him to fight the Dharma Yuddha because he is fighting for a cause, then what is intoxication here and there? Hardly makes a difference. Right? So in life, do what you feel is right. To answer your question also, that in life, if you have any problems per se, if you ask me any problem, whether it is personal, professional, academic, anything, every solution consists of only 9 means, or every problem has only 9 solutions per se. Right? The first 3 being think, observe and listen. You see, statistically speaking, the Gallup organization of the United Kingdom says that 72.73% of these people in this world only give advice. Only 27.27% of these people in this world think. So agree to the fact to yourself that you will be thinking from now onwards. It is a possibility that there are 3 kinds of cases over here also. Either we all are in the 72.73% who just give advice to others, or we are amongst the 27, which would make me feel very good that we all think, or there are 77.23 who give advice and 23% who actually think. It's very necessary serendipity to it. Have that kind of a mindset that even if you are looking here, you should be able to see things what are happening left, right, behind, everything all around. It is so much necessary to observe. Because once you start observing, you will actually build those kind of relationships. And one more thing that what management says, or that is something that even I would say, that in life, if you have no net worth,
Do you know where